Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to take what I think will be a really interesting trip around the Keystone area of South Dakota. From that information alone I'm sure some of you can already guess where we're headed to. Today we'll be flying the Diamond DV20 Katana. The flight will have us departing out of Custer County Airport. Initially we'll head north and we'll overfly the Crazy Horse Monument. Then we're going to head out towards the northeast and we're going to take a little bit of a scenic tour around Mount Rushmore. We'll do a few laps around the monument, check it out, and then we'll head back towards Custer County for our landing. As you can see right behind us, the sun is already starting to get fairly close to the horizon, so it should make for a really scenic trip as we head around the area late into the afternoon. As always guys, I do hope that you enjoy the video. If you do, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. We'll now head for the cockpit of the Diamond DV20 Katana and get the aircraft started up. So welcome to the cockpit of the Diamond DV20 Katana. We're sat here on the ground at Custer County Airport. We've just got ourselves sat down nice and comfortable and we're ready to run the before start checklist. The pre-flight inspection has been completed, aircraft's documents are on board, baggage is stowed and secured, rudder pedals have been adjusted and locked, hops timer has been recorded, seatbelts are fastened, flight controls are full, free and in the correct sense, canopy is closed and secure, circuit breakers are checked in, parking brake is set, brake pressure is checked, fuel shutoff valve is on, throttle is in the idle position, throttle friction has been checked, avionics master switch is off, as are the electrical systems, keys are in the ignition, master switch can go on, trim indicator is in the neutral position, the anti-collision light and the position lights can go on, no instrument lighting required currently. So for a cold start the brakes are on, fuel pump is on, throttle is idle, propeller area is clear, clear prop! So we have a good start, we'll idle around 1000 RPM and checking the oil pressure, it's in the green. So cabin heat and defrost not required, flaps are checked and we'll set them in the takeoff position, and again checked visually. Check the magnetos, they're both functioning, avionics master can come on, transponder can go to standby, ATIS is 1200,
Kilo Charlie Uniform Tango Automated Weather Observation 2300 Zulu. Wind 262 at 8. Visibility 6. Sky condition 800 feet scattered, 4,300 feet scattered. Temperature 4C dew point, 1 tree C altimeter 29902.
Okay, I have no idea what the ATIS is referring to. That's definitely not the weather conditions that we have outside. Anyway, the wind supposedly 260 degrees, so we'll take off in a westerly direction. So ATIS has been copied, radios, nav and GPS set, so we'll tune traffic 1228. That's actually all we require in terms of our navigation setup and radio setup. Taxi clearance, so we'll be departing out to the north. We'll take runway 26. We'll announce our taxi momentarily. Altimeter is set on the directional gyro. We're reading 080. And we have 080. Fuel pump can come off. Engine gauges are checked in the green. Parking brake can come off. And we'll check the flight instruments on the taxi out. So we'll call for the taxi.
Kilo Charlie Uniform Tango Traffic Diamond Golf, India Tango Bravo Sierra is taxiing to runway 26.
So the holding point's just off the left wing, however we'll swing around to the right just to avoid this guy on the trolley. Looks like we have another aircraft just getting ready to depart just behind us. Okay, we're all clear of him. Let's be going slightly uphill here, the aircraft needing a lot of power to keep moving. It looks like the wind is down the runway. So we'll just swing the aircraft around onto runway heading to carry out the run-up. Try not to block the taxiway for too long with that traffic just behind us. Okay, so there we are into wind. Heart brake can go on, bring the engine back to 1000 RPM. For the run up then, the aircraft is into wind, the nose wheel is straight, the area behind is clear, parking brake is on, fuel shut-off valve is on, throttle, we'll bring that up to 1700 momentarily, we'll check the engine temperatures and pressures, check the alternator, check the magnetos, check the cylinder head temperature, and then come back to idle. So all the way up to 1700. 1700 set. So oil temperature is in the green, oil pressure is in the green, ammeter is checked, magneto, so we'll check each magneto. We're looking for no more than 150 drop on the RPM and no more than 50 difference between the two. So roughly a 50 RPM drop there. Back to both. And the same on the other side. So magnetos are good. They're back to both. Cylinder head temperature is checked. Engine gauges are checked. Throttle, we'll come back to idle. So idling around 950 on the RPM there. It's checked. Circuit breakers are checked in. Safety belts are fastened. Fuel quantity is checked. Flaps are set for takeoff. Master switch is on. Fuel pump can go on. Magnetos are on both. Flight instruments are checked. Avionics is on and set. Trim is set neutral. Flight controls. Still full, free and in the correct sense. So for the takeoff we'll remove the parking brake shortly. For the takeoff brief we'll be departing out to the west initially and then turning northbound. Flaps can come up above 300 feet AGL. Takeoff time, we'll record that momentarily. Landing light can come on. Transponder can go to out. Switches are as required. Heading indicator is checked. And we're all ready to go. So part brake off. We'll call for the takeoff, departing out to the north.
Kilo Charlie Uniform Tango Traffic Diamond Golf, India Tango Bravo Sierra taking off runway 26 departure to the north.
Very happy to take off from the intersection, there's plenty of runway off on 26. It's clear on approach, and we're clear on final. Do love the DV20, the visibility is excellent, it's a really nice aircraft cruising around in. So we're all set. We'll note the takeoff time. Let's go! So it's full power, RPM's checked, T's and P's are in the green, airspeed's coming up. Aircraft rather slow to accelerate. There's 50 knots, coming back on the stick. Needing a lot of aft pressure on the stick to get the nose up there. It's almost full back stick actually. Obviously pretty underpowered at this altitude though. We use a lot of trim just to ease off on the control pressure. As I said, almost full back stick here and we're barely climbing. So keeping trimming, we'll wait until we're at 500 feet before we start the turn. Initially looking to turn out onto a heading of 352. And in fact we'll enter the circuit just to come back over the airfield, otherwise we're going to be quite off course by the time we get to 500 feet. Through 300 feet now the flaps can come up. Should help a little bit with the climb performance. Already quite wide on a downwind here, so we'll keep coming around onto downwind. And we'll climb up to an altitude of around 7,000 feet. And we'll keep climbing at roughly 60 knots until we're above circuit height, and then we'll turn back over the airfield. Aircraft trimmed a little bit better now, got my hands more or less off the controls. Again, very slow to climb, we're only doing about 500 feet a minute here with the current elevation though, that's not really surprising. The DV20 is hardly a particularly powerful aircraft at the best of times, but especially not at this altitude. So 200 more feet to go, and we can turn back over the field. I think what we'll actually do, we'll depart on the base leg. I'll have us roughly over the field anyway. So we'll turn onto that now. And we're looking for a heading of 352. So just coming off a beam the runway now. Good on the heading. Time is 1:04. And the first leg out towards Crazy Horse Monument at 4.5 minutes. So we're looking for a time of 1:09. So just approaching 7,000 feet now, just come slightly left again onto the heading. And we can level all the aircraft off. We'll let the aircraft accelerate up to around 80 knots before we come back on the power. Again, not going to see the aircraft accelerating particularly quickly, given our high altitude. So just passing over the town of Custer right now, which is en route to the first waypoint, so gross aero check, everything looking good there. Come back on the power now. Come back to around 22 inches on the manifold pressure. and around 2300 on the RPM. In the cruise, so the landing lights and the fuel pump can come off. Just coming back down to our altitude of 7,000 feet. Slightly to the right of track at the moment. We can just follow the main road out towards the north. That should take us to the Crazy Horse Monument. So there's the town of Custer just behind us. Really stunning scenery, I have to say. Really nice. As soon as we reach the monument, we'll turn onto a heading of 059. We have the bend in the road just coming off from Custer. Not really sure what that is below us, but something quite interesting down there. And just to avoid this belt of high terrain, we'll turn onto our heading slightly after the mountains over here. Lots of interesting features around. Again, I'm not sure what a lot of them actually are, but it's a very interesting area to explore. T's and P's and fuel all look good at the moment. Something just popped in off on our right. Again, a very interesting rock formation. We'll do a few laps of the monument just to really take in the sights. So here we have the Crazy Horse Monument. Try not to lose any altitude in the turn. Presume that is the face of Crazy Horse himself. Very cool, very interesting. So we'll do a quick orbit around the monument. Looks like there's some sort of a painting on the side as well. And then we'll head back off on our heading of 059. Again, we'll attempt to avoid the most significant high terrain here, so we'll have to pick our way around the mountains. Anyway, we're over the monument at 20. Next leg is 5 minutes, so looking for a time of around 2:05 to be on site at Mount Rushmore. There is our heading. And looking at the mountains out ahead of us, I suspect that Mount Rushmore will be around the other side of this mountain chain. So again, we'll come out to the left, we'll pick our way around the highest of the terrain, and we'll come back round through from the south to check out the monument itself. Again, T's and P's are good. Definitely going to come back and explore this area a little bit more in the future. It's really Very pretty, really showing off Microsoft Flight Simulator once again. I just did a flight around the British Virgin Islands, which may or may not have been uploaded by the time this video goes up, but found that the scenery there was actually quite disappointing, and you do tend to get that Microsoft Flight Simulator. Some of the scenery is stunning and a real pleasure to fly around in, and then some of it is frankly quite a disappointment, and that was somewhat the case with the British Virgin Islands. Again, the DV20, if you do happen to have it within Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's a really nice aircraft cruising around in. As you can see, the visibility is absolutely excellent, and pretty decent speed as well. We're doing 95 knots currently. Very easy to fly, very stable platform. I've seen people as well managing to do a little bit of ridge soaring, a bit of gliding in the aircraft, so if that interests you, it's definitely a possible option. So we'll just come slightly back to the right as we've deviated from our heading for at least a few miles there. What looks like some sort of car park down below us, not quite sure what that would be for, possibly for the monument itself. Really stunning with the sun just starting to edge down behind the hills. What a lovely evening to fly in. I'm sure this will be absolutely lovely in VR as well. Come back onto our heading now, so 059. About 2 or 3 more minutes to run. If I had to guess, I reckon that Mount Rushmore might be just down at our 1 o'clock on that cliff face below us. Keep a good eye out as well, we're probably slightly off track here. You can see a major road just off at our 10 o'clock, make that out on the map as well. Looks like that's probably Highway 16 leading off towards Rapid City. So we should be over Mount Rushmore very shortly. Again, I'm wondering if it's not on this cliff face out on our right. Just lost a little bit of altitude there in the turn. Come back up to 7,000 feet. And sure enough, that is looking like Mount Rushmore. Looks like there's a few visitor buildings just off to the east of the mountain itself. We'll allow the aircraft to descend down now a little bit. Do a few passes around the mountain, increasingly low level, just to really again take in the scenery. So coming back now on the manifold pressure. That's very interesting. Never seen Mount Rushmore in the real world, always wanted to. This is a fairly decent proxy for now. So we'll do another couple of passes, as I said. Down to 6,000 feet now. We'll keep an eye on our altitude. Might have to climb back up again for the return to Custer. We'll level off at 6,000 for the next pass, so back up to 22 on the manifold pressure. buzz past the visitor centre as well. Well, again, I assume it's a visitor centre. So on the left, I know that one, that's pretty easy. We have George Washington. I believe on the right from him is Thomas Jefferson. And then again, I can definitely recognise Theodore Roosevelt. And actually, yeah, the right as well is pretty easy. That's Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson's really the only one I wouldn't be able to recognise by face, personally. Yeah, that's very cool. We'll do one more pass and then we'll head back towards Custer. And again, really great visibility out of the DV20. It's ideal for sightseeing like this. We'll stay at 6,000 feet, we don't really want to be getting any lower than that. So again, a really impressive feature, really stunning, like that a lot. Anyway, we'll say goodbye to those legends of history and we'll head back towards Custer. Heading is 210. We'll try and stay down at 6,000 feet if we can. As long as you don't encounter any significant terrain on the way home. And the leg home is about 7 minutes. Time currently is 2:08. So we should be arriving back around 3:05. Heading back towards the sunset, so it should be a nice view all the way home. Time's still 2:08, so we'll still call the arrival 3:05. Good on the heading now. Looks like we might have to again pick our way through some terrain on the way home. And one last look at the monument before we head off. Yeah, very cool. I do like exploring these sorts of features in the sim. It's really good fun. Get to see some things that you may never get to see in the real world. The aircraft really wanting to sink quite a lot here. I've got quite a lot of back pressure to maintain altitude. I think we're in a bit of a downdraft from the hills. You can see the speed coming back there as well. We're only doing around 85 knots now. Hopefully once we clear this ridge off at our 1 o'clock we'll escape that. We'll come out to the left now anyway, we're going to have to pick our way around this terrain. And heading back towards Custer, which I assume is named after General Custer. I remember as a kid watching Custer's Last Stand actually and really enjoying it. It's quite an old movie, but I used to be quite heavily into my my cowboy sort of stories when I was a younger boy. Obviously I realised Custer wasn't a cowboy, but for me it was still cowboys and Indians, guns and bows and arrows, all that sort of stuff. So we'll head back, as I said, on a heading of 210. We'll pick our way around the terrain. We should overfly the town of Custer again just before we hit Custer County Airport. Just do a check on our directional gyro, still aligned at the moment. You can see a lake off at our 10 o'clock there. Looks like that's out to the east of Custer, so looking good on track. We will just come again slightly round to a more southwesterly heading just to regain our track. Actually, you can see Custer County Airport beacon light already off in the distance. So we'll call up traffic again, we'll make a position report now. Back onto runway 26.
Kilo Charlie Uniform Tango Traffic Diamond Golf. India Tango Bravo Sierra 7 miles northeast, 6,200 feet inbound to land, runway 26.
So roughly another 4 minutes to run. A little bit sparse in terms of features at the moment. We're over the high terrain, so we know broadly where we are on the map. Roughly back on track again now, we'll come back onto our heading of 210. And again, a really stunning evening here, lovely sunset. T's and P's are still good. We're down to almost a quarter of a tank of fuel now, which is around 5 US gallons. Plenty of fuel obviously for the return and any go-arounds if we need it. So for the approach checklist, canopy is closed and locked. Seatbelts are fastened. We'll turn the landing light on now. Flight instruments are checked. All temperature and pressure are checked. No passenger briefing required. That's the approach checklist complete. So the town of Custer again, off at our 1 o'clock there, overflying the east of the town, which is correct. So we're still good on the route. And again, you can see the beacon at the airport, so it makes life pretty easy anyway. We said we're coming back in on runway 26. Sounds quiet on traffic, so we'll just join for a right-hand downwind now. And the downwind checks, brakes are off, undercarriage is down. Mixture is rich, fuel pump is on, fuel quantity is sufficient, instruments are checked, landing light is on, harness is secure. There's the runway off at our 2 o'clock. Start coming back on the power now. Trimming as the speed reduces. All clear on final. Take a stage of flap. Keep letting the speed come back. Continuing into trim. We'll call final.
Kilo Charlie Uniform Tango Traffic Diamond Golf. India Tango Bravo Sierra is on final runway 26 to land.
So looking good on the profile. We'll take landing flap now. And landing checks. Pitch is full fine. Undercarriage is down. Flaps are set. Landing clearance is not required. And the runway is clear. Just a touch low at the moment, but that's okay. We still want to bleed off a little bit of speed. Getting a little bit of sink again here as well. And ideally, if we can, we want to vacate at the exit, so we'll try and land as close to the threshold as possible. Not going to worry too much about the pappies there, they're not really for our benefit. Keep the speed coming back. Again, a lot of trim needed at slow speed. So aiming for the threshold, coming off the power. That's a full backstick there. That's quite a firm landing. That was all I could do to arrest the descent rate. And slowing the aircraft down. We should be able to make the exit, no worries. Yeah, so quite a firm landing, but I had, I think, full aft trim and full backstick, so that was the best that we could manage. We are high altitude, but I suspect that the DV20 is a little bit accurate there with the flight model. I expect we'd have more elevator authority than that. So vacating the runway. We'll take the landing light off. Fuel pump can come off. Transponder can go back to off. We'll reset the trim. That is neutral. After landing checks. So the flaps. Again, a lot of thrust needed to keep the aircraft moving. So flaps are up. Landing light is off. Landing time was 3.536 thereabouts. Just taxi back in towards the marshaller. And the transponder is off. Pretty special to be getting a marshaller for an aircraft of this size, but we'll take it. Okay. So coming back on the power, part brake on. And shutdown checklist, throttle is 1000 RPM. Radio, we'll turn off the avionics master switch. Fuel pump is off. Electrical equipment is off. Throttle back to idle. We'll ground check the magnetos. And the mags can come off. So ignition is off, master switch off, hops timer will record, and the fuel shut off can go off. That's the shutdown checklist complete. So there you go guys, I do hope that you enjoyed our flight around the Keystone area, and particularly around Mount Rushmore itself. I have to say that I really enjoyed that trip personally. I thought it was a really nice highlight of Microsoft Flight Simulator once again. The scenery looked absolutely stunning, the monuments were very interesting to visit, and the aircraft was a real pleasure to fly. I do hope that you enjoyed coming along for the trip with me today. If you did, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. But for now, thanks very much, and I'll see you all again soon.